Excuse me, Mr. DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Thursday, December 7th, 2023, with our good friend and colleague, Julian Edlow from DraftKings and DK Sportsbooks, and a lot of other ats that we have at the bottom of our screen. First and foremost, a quick shout out to the gentleman behind the glass, Joseph Shea, Evan Lewis. Thank you. And of course, our new proud sponsorship and partnership with WagerWire. Please, if you have not already, head on over to Google Play. Download the app. It's free. Get acclimated to it. A lot of good offers from sports books around the globe, free play, match play, and good stuff like that. Start tracking those bets. Keep track of your ROI. And if you're looking for a little flash cash, especially the Christmas season, take some money to deck the halls and fill those stockings. Send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you. Travis, Zach, the rest of that team and community will take great care of you. But without further ado, the star of this show, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
Good morning, Jeff. How we doing?
Jules, good morning. I was going to preface this show, the good, the bad, the ugly, but, there's some things in Boston that we don't, you and I especially, on a week-to-week basis, don't do a lot of talking about. The Red Sox, the Bruins, you and I more focus on the Celtics and the Patriots, and I'm gonna, I'm high above courtside right now, Jules. To talk about the Celtics initially here. I think you and I and most of Celtics Nation assumed they'd be playing tonight.
Yeah, I wasn't sure, I guess, at first how they would take this, but once they showed their hand against the Bulls, what their intentions were, it became obvious that they were going to play to win this tournament. And they had a very Celtics-esque, playoff performance, if you want to call it that, in that game where they get a lead and get comfortable and let go of the rope and get beat late in the fourth quarter by a team that's not as good as them. That's happened over and over to them. So it mattered to them. They seemed a little angry about it. So all I can hope is that maybe this changes things up for them. And, they're thinking about last season, Game 7 Miami. Maybe this can be another turning point for them where they realize in season, and they can point back to the in-season tournament, that they, kind of let their foot off the gas in a game that they wanted to get. And learn from it. But we've said it a lot. We've said it a lot of times, and we're gonna have to see it start happening on a consistent basis. When you have a team down that you want to keep down, you keep your foot on the accelerator, and they struggle with that.
You can't have the best of both worlds. In other words, for 2 years, you and I doing shows, we talked about the growth of Tatum. We talked about the growth of Jaylen Brown. And then we had the Marcus Smart era, and there was a lot of pieces, The Celtics will go as far as, is Robert Williams healthy, et cetera, et cetera. And there were other pieces to that. They make some power moves, Jules, over the offseason. They bring in Drew Holiday. They bring in the unicorn Porzingis. I think you just swapped out Robert Williams with Porzingis. Here it's just, an in-season tournament. It's the beginning of December, but Porzingis is out. He's hurt. The Celtics, the nation, the naysayers, they're sitting back and almost like same old Celtics. I mean, at this point, it's early, but is there any concern about the lack of depth or Porzingis already being injured?
Yeah, concerns about concerns about both. Now Porzingis is going to play on Friday, so it was a quick stint, but he missed meaningful games, if you want to call it that. And that's been something throughout his career. Now, I guess if you're going to miss whatever it is, 4 or 5 games in November, December, that's fine. Again, the big picture is staying healthy long term and being available in May and June. So, my level of concern is the same. I guess it just kind of highlights that is still there. Porzingis wasn't going to just play a completely healthy season, even when he was really good last year. He missed, like 20 games or whatever. That's going to happen along the way. It's about playing the ones that matter. And, the depth has been a little better. I think, Hauser's been better than people expected. They have guys that can fill minutes, but I won't fully judge this team on its depth until mid-February when that trade deadline passes, because an opportunity could fall into their lap to get involved in a deal somehow. There'll be buyouts, and the Celtics will be one of those premier teams that those buyout veterans are interested in. So I'm not going to judge the depth aspect of things until we get to, about 2 months from now.
Good friend Michael Dombrowski, a.k.a. Big City. Good morning, Michael. He talks about Tatum putting the team on its back, also talking about, losing his composure in back-to-back games. Is that more Tatum, I guess the good word, pressing? Do you feel like any sense of him pressing?
Not really. I too early for that, and I think he knows that. So I think things just came undone a little bit for him. And I'll be honest, I didn't watch the Friday night Sixers game because I was in Vegas at the Pac-12 game. So I wasn't able to watch that game, but I went back and watched highlights and stuff. I want Tatum trying to do more. So as long as he cares, which it seems he cares, and he wants to do more, then I'm good with that. It's just, like the game 6 in Milwaukee, the year they lost to Golden State, like keeping your foot on the gas in a game that you want to win and not letting off. As long as he's doing that, there'll be slip ups along the way, but it just stay aggressive, and I'm fine with that.
We've already penciled them into the Eastern Conference Finals. Most likely, we're assuming against the Bucks. Maybe somehow Philly or Miami gets hot again. It's the Pacers, the number one offense in the NBA. The under/over tonight against the Bucks is up to 253, 254. Roll the ball out, and the first one, technically.
Going up. It's 257.
Yeah, okay. So it'll be 260 by tip-off. And I tell you what, the sports books have been real good when these numbers have been like this. The first one was 252, I'd say about 4 weeks ago, and I think there was 311 or 312 points scored. So this is almost like an NBA All-Star game. But my quick question to you before we break down the 2 games tonight, are you at all afraid of the Pacers, or is this just, hey, it's great for the NBA and just adding another team that might win one round in the playoffs?
Well, Monday was somewhat meaningful because we saw them in a game that meant a lot to them. win a lower scoring game against the Celtics. They played defense when they needed to play defense. They hit shots when they needed to hit shots. So, given the importance of that game, and they found that game to be very important, I think that the Pacers are, a player in the Eastern Conference. I'd be absolutely stunned if they won the East. I'm not saying they're going to go to the finals, but they're not a team that you're going to get in the first round and just roll over. They are in the mix in that next level in the East, wherever you want to put. Whatever, the Sixers are probably better than them, but in that tier 2, the Knicks, the Heat belong on their own island, because I feel like they don't get hot in the playoffs. In the playoffs is who they are, and they just don't play in the regular season. Does that make sense?
Sure.
They don't even try. So like they're more like the playoff team, and they keep tricking people into saying maybe the Heat could get hot again in the playoffs. Like that might be who they are, and they just play cat and mouse the whole regular season. So I think there are a lot more teams in the Eastern Conference than we're giving credit to just saying it's Boston, Milwaukee. That said, it's going to be very tough to beat Boston and Milwaukee 4 times, come the playoffs.
The 2 games, the semifinal games, Pacers, Bucks, and was it New Orleans and the Lakers? Obviously, NBA probably salivating right now. I assume hoping, LeBron versus Giannis and Dame time. Initial thoughts on the 2 games tonight, Jules?
Yeah, I'm going to see where the total in Pacers Bucks goes, and I'm probably going to play under. So many points. You're going out to Vegas. You're excited. You're playing in a weird neutral floor with a weird neutral crowd. In a big game. Look at how Pacers Celtics went. The total's so high because the Bucks were unconscious against the Knicks. So I get why this total's so high. Maybe they play into each other's hands, but like at some point, these teams are gonna have to get stops if they want to win this game, and they do. So I don't know. We're getting in the ballpark where it's under a pass, and if you want to pass, I totally get it. But I'm gonna see where the number goes and look under in Pacers Bucks. Pelicans Lakers. Both teams are playing really well, but the Pelicans are really getting healthy, playing their best basketball of the season. Game's very meaningful to both sides again. The trend that I would look at, I guess, I don't know if I'm going to pick a winner for the game, but the Lakers are getting off to historically bad starts. They've fixed that a little bit lately, but they are still, 7-15 against the first half spread. Pelicans, complete opposite, 15-7 against the first half spread. So I'd probably go Pelicans first half there. I think if the Lakers get it, it's going to be a LeBron comeback type of game.
We talked about this Pelican team, and remember last year, I think they were actually the number 1 team in the NBA right around up to the start of the new year. Then the injuries, of course. Have any faith in them? I know it's hey, listen, Zion, health, we get it, but do you have any faith in them?
Not until they prove it, but I didn't have a ton of faith in Denver ever getting it all the way together, and look what happened. So I won't say never on them, but I would definitely be surprised if they actually got to a Western Conference final. But that said, they have the talent too. They have the role pieces too. I bet them over their win total last year. I bet them over an alternate win total last year. Lost them all. Because of health, they showed that they were there, and then it all came undone. So that's ultimately, at least from a betting perspective, something that will keep me away from futures and always betting game to game. When are they hot? When do they have it together?
Let's get to the ugly. The Patriots actually on Thursday Night Football at Pittsburgh. 5 years ago, this would have been must-watch TV. Brady versus Roethlisberger. Tonight, Trubisky versus Zappy Fever. The Celtics. The Patriots now in the number 2 spot for the collapse for Caleb or the Drake May sweepstakes. Uh, Give us the thoughts of the Pats, and then we can break down tonight's game. An under-over that has dipped below 30. First one to 17 wins this game. This has got 17-13 written all over it. Thoughts about the Pats, thoughts about the sweepstakes, thoughts about tonight's game.
17-13 sounds a little high to me, but the Patriots are awful. They can't figure it out. Coaching's bad. The players are bad. Which points to poor general managing. They got to mix it up, and you can't just bring a quarterback in to fix it. The offensive line is the top priority because there is no offensive line. The skill position guys around the quarterback need to be fixed. And then you can start looking at putting a quarterback in. So if you draft a quarterback, you have to sit them. If you get the number one pick and take Caleb Williams, you have to sit him. Unfortunately, he may not understand that. With all the rookies now getting chances, they don't do the Carson Palmer sit for a year, the Aaron Rodgers sit for 4 years. They don't do that stuff anymore. But unless they found a bunch of skill position guys and signed a bunch of O linemen and had that ready to go week 1 next year, if they draft a quarterback at the top of the draft, that person has to sit until they fix it because it's a mess right now. You can see that on a week-to-week basis. Now, in terms of tonight, I played under 30. I think it's too high. I don't know. Like at some point, the number's going to be too low. I don't think it's there yet for this matchup in this situation. Short week. Whether you think Trubisky's better than Pickett or not, it's a quarterback change on a short week. Keep it more vanilla, less wrinkles there for Pittsburgh. The Patriots, as pathetic as they are, if you're going to be the first team since 1938 to hold your opponents to under 10 points 3 times in a row and lose all 3, that means you've held your opponent to 10 points or less 3 times in a row still. So the defense is playing well. They're getting a Pittsburgh team that's scoring the 28th most points in the NFL. Meanwhile, the Patriots last in offense. They score 10 points per game on the road. They're scoring 4.3, a Red Sox-esque 4.3 points per game during this 3-game streak. It's going to take a special teams play, a defensive play. It's going to take weird plays to get this game over. I've never seen this one before. The most bet, I always tweet out the most bet first touchdown scores at DraftKings. As of yesterday, the most bet first touchdown score was no touchdown to be scored in the game at 15-1, which isn't even a long number. 15-1. That's like betting a tight end to score the first touchdown.
That's usually a 30+ to 1. And I saw your tweet yesterday and I just started laughing. I will say this every week, Jules, until we get up to draft day. And I can't wait till we start getting closer. All your work, all your props that you'll have up for us on a week-to-week basis. I am telling you right now, for the Patriots, most success moving forward is figuring out what the Bears are going to do, if they're going to move Fields and then trading down with them with that second pick. If they're going to give you Fields and they're drafting Caleb, great. If you can stockpile some picks, get the offensive tackle, which is not a sexy pick, allow the Bears, say, to get Caleb and let's say Marvin Harrison, as great as it is. And I'm hearing a lot of talks about that. And I'll have you put your GM hat on. If they get stuck, let's say at 3 and Marvin Harrison's there, which is the consensus, everyone's like, you can't pass on him. And there's just too many holes. Can you take Harrison and then build backwards? Or do you have to move and take that left tackle or right tackle there?
I think you can really do either. Now, what would the Patriots do? Probably take the tackle. Well, really, what would the Patriots do? Probably trade back. But you need some elite prospects here. I think the Patriots would probably take the tackle. But, like, they can't draft a receiver for their lives. Marvin Harrison gives you a receiver, a can't miss receiver, essentially. You might want to consider that because you've been terrible at that. Like, part of this is part of everything, part of being a sports bettor, whatever your job is. If you're watching, like, part of everything is, knowing your own strengths and weaknesses and working off of that to become better. If you haven't been able to draft a wide receiver in 25 years, then take the sure thing and build around it. Use your money to sign O linemen, get a veteran offensive line together, and then figure out who your quarterback's going to be. I don't really care who it is. You could do another year of Mac Jones until you find the guy, as long as you're giving Mac Jones the rest of this year off, and then the offseason to prepare behind a paid veteran offensive line with Marvin Harrison now added to your depth chart at wide receiver, and then everybody else drops down a slot. If you want to go ahead and do that, I have no problem. Like, it sounds dumb and everybody's done with Mac Jones. You can try that. It will look different if you put the right pieces in place. But I just don't have much faith that those pieces will be put in place by the Patriots.
As you said last weekend, and I was jealous, as you know what, in Vegas for the Pac-12 championship. And Jules, in August, you and I talked. I think it was actually on Sports Map Radio. We me and Pep had you on. You talked about Washington. I talked about Washington. We had Washington Pac-12 champs in August. We had them to shock the world in the Final Four. I can use the word shock. I was shocked what happened last Friday. Oregon, 9.5 point favorites. Not only did Washington win the game, Bo lost the Heisman, which we had at 7-8-1 as well, to Jaden Daniels. You were there. You were live. What'd you see? And did you use the shock as well? The shock word as well?
Yeah, it was pretty frustrating if you were in my position where you wanted to middle the game and have Oregon win just outright. I was pretty shocked. I thought it was a great revenge spot for an Oregon team that a lot of people had ranked as high as Georgia. It was Georgia and Oregon top of the power rankings. Neither are in the college football playoff. So I was surprised. Like, watching Oregon games, you see them get big chunks downfield. Washington's secondary is in like the bottom 20% of college football. And they didn't do any of that. It was all, they have playmakers. They have track stars. Oregon, I'm speaking to. They made some plays from the line of scrimmage, but they didn't take shots downfield. That's what really surprised me, is that none of that was happening, and Washington was getting those. So, yeah, it was a cool game, awesome experience. Still ultimately made some money, but it's one of those ones where I'm kicking myself a little because I became convinced Oregon was going to win the game and still got them at a good price, still at plus money to win the game about a month before the game, and gave up on my team preseason, Washington. I hit the over win total, had them to win the Pac-12, and didn't make nearly as much as I wanted to wind up making on that because I fell for the Ducks. So that was a little frustrating, but otherwise a very good game. And we'll see what Washington is in this Texas game. I think it's a pretty interesting game.
Yeah, we had the Final Four. You don't have to spend obviously a lot of time on what has been talked about now forever this week on social media. Upset what the committee did. I mean, technically they think they got the best four teams in. Well, once Georgia lost to Alabama, that was a free card for Texas, obviously, because if they were putting Alabama in, they had to put Texas in. Florida State left out. I mean, if you tell me right now that Georgia's not one of the top four teams in the country, I mean, this is a team that had won 29 in a row, two-time defending champs. They lose the SEC title game by 3 with, you could clearly tell McConkey and Bowers were banged up. You don't give this team a fair opportunity to have a month off. It would have been a whole entirely different offense. I get it. Your thoughts?
I'm good with leaving FSU out. Like, part of the criteria listed was what is the state of your team now? Are there any key injuries? Clearly there was, and FSU looked like an okay team the last couple weeks. The problem is, like you said, like we're moving the criteria, because if you're doing it that way, then Georgia probably should be in, because they're still a top 4 team. They're 12-1 with a loss to Alabama, who you're saying is a top 4 team. It's tough. So I don't, it just justifies the expansion. I don't know if I would have had a better answer, because if you put Georgia in, who are you putting them in for? So the one thing I'll say is, if you're ranking it that way, they gave FSU like 5 out of pity, like, hey, sorry, we left you out. But Georgia should be 5. FSU should be not even 6, but you can be kind and put them 6 if you want. We're splitting hairs. If it's 5-6, they're still playing each other in whatever bowl they're in. But like, if you're going to put Georgia in, what the look-ahead lines are telling us is that Washington is the worst team in. So you're going to take Washington out at 13-0 with 2 wins over Oregon?
I'm not
I'm not either. But like, if we played Georgia Washington in New Orleans at Superdome, what is it?
11.
I don't even think it's that. I don't think it's that high. But yeah, like Georgia's laying over a touchdown probably. So I don't know. Let's just be glad we're going to 12, because like I don't have a fix. I don't have a fix. Georgia's definitely a top 4 team. I'm not taking Washington out of the college football playoff. You can't take Michigan out. Alabama just beat Georgia, so you can't take them out. And Texas beat Alabama, so you can't take them out. So I don't know.
Well, I gave you an 11 number because Oregon on a neutral field was 9.5, and
I think the perception maybe would have changed a little bit. But you're right. Easily could be 10. I don't know.
And I'll end this part of the segment with this: if Georgia wins, they had an opportunity. Everything else breaks the same way, Jules. Where I think Texas would have got bounced, and they would have had the 4 undefeated teams in there with Georgia, Michigan, Washington, and then they would have had Florida State in. And then because that win in week 4, Texas had in Alabama, isn't as strong with Georgia beating them. So, all right, we got a couple minutes left. We've covered a lot today. At the DK Sportsbook, again, we have the Final Four in the NBA in-game play-in season tournament. We have the Patriots and the Steelers tonight in the NFL. All your bowl games are up. We have the Final Four January 1st in college football. The last couple minutes, Jules, give everyone watching and listening. We got a lot of people in here this morning. Thank you, guys. Some stuff on the desk that you've played that you're leaning towards, some stuff to give to the listeners that want to put a little, beer, pizza, or whatever money on some plays.
Yeah, so the under tonight in the Pats Steelers game is a play for me. The 2 things I said for NBA, I haven't fired on them yet, but it'll be either the under or pass in the Bucks Pacers game, and New Orleans first half or pass in that other game. Light night in college, I was leaning towards the under in the Iowa State game, but it's down about 4.5 points, so I'm going to leave that one alone. Let's see. Like bowl-wise, I've already played a lot. I guess the one that I'll bring up, and it's moved a ton, but I still think you can play Missouri money line. Missouri would open 6.5. Missouri's going to beat Ohio State. Ohio State has a ton of opt-outs, a ton of NFL guys, a ton of guys that are going to sit. Ryan Day's looking at other jobs because he can't beat Michigan. Meanwhile, Missouri has said, we're fired up to play Ohio State. We don't care who's on the field. Ohio State's Ohio State. We want this win. This is a team that hung with Georgia during the regular season, playing their quarterback, playing their running back, playing their defense. Everybody that's healthy is going for Missouri. You miss the number. Sometimes you miss the number, especially on bowl games. You have to kind of get opening numbers out of your head and look at where it's at now. That's one that I'll give, and we have plenty of time. It's a December 29th game, so we'll see where the number goes. But, yeah, I like Missouri a lot in that game.
Is there any promos, any boosts, anything for tonight or this coming for the weekend that people can go? And if they haven't downloaded the DK Sportsbook app, please run to the window and do that now. Obviously your $5 wager to get usually, around 150 of free bets, but you can tell them that.
Yep, 150 in bonus bets right now. Thursday night football, same game parlay insurance. So if you do make a 4-leg same game parlay, if it loses, you get your money back in a bonus bet. Those are always, say what you want about the same game parlays, but if they're insured, you should take your hacks. Let's see. The NBA boost tonight on the in-season tournament is 33%. So get a profit boost to use 33% on one of your bets. And let's see. Yeah, that looks like what we got going on right now. We haven't gotten to NFL Sunday yet.
And lastly, I got all your ats down at the bottom, but I'll let you wrap it up. Tell everyone where they can find all your work and catch you on the weekend.
Yeah, at Julian Edlow on Twitter. Nice and simple, the easy way to do that. We got the Unreasonable Odds podcast, came out yesterday. And the Sweat. I'm back in studio. I've been doing, early records for those shows, traveling a lot, but back in studio this weekend. Going to be dreadful getting up off of my Vegas jet lag, but 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Saturday and Sunday on VSiN, Samsung TV, DraftKings Network, Twitter. You'll find it.
Jules, always a pleasure. Thank you so much. We'll catch up with you next week, brother.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
Take care, Julian. The one and only Julian Edlow. And there's a million spots to find him. The easiest thing to do is just to run over to Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it this morning, at Julian Edlow. You can find all his work on DraftKings at DK Sportsbook, DK Live. Go check out his podcast at Unreasonable Odd Podcasts. And then 8 to 10 Saturday and Sunday at The Sweat DK live on VSiN and a bunch of other places. Great show this morning, guys. Thank you. If you're new to this, there's plenty more coming. 2024 couldn't be brighter, but we got 24 days to end 2023 strong, which we will do. And then January 1st, 2024 will be our 9th year anniversary. How time flies. Till then, 1:00, I will be guest with Andrew McGinnis at Wager Talk at McGinnis Picks. Not sure if we're going live, YouTube, Twitter Spaces, but come turn on your notifications. Catch us there. 3:00, I will be co-hosting. I will be a guest. Primetime Angles with Pop DiBiase on Prime Wave Media. And 4:30, myself and Riley will be back here for the closing bell. Shout out again to Evan Lewis, Joseph Shea. Shout out to WagerWire. Shout out to their team and community. You guys are awesome. Can't wait to do so much more work with you as we keep going. No stop, can't stop, won't stop. From myself, Jeff Dawson at EC Sports Investor, from Julian Edlow, who has left the building, at Julian Edlow. We wish everyone a great morning. We will see you soon.